Civil War.
Who's your neighbor? Who's your friend? There's hate all around.
All around, all
I don't care
around.
about your fucking politics.
Maybe I
don't
care a
wanna
little
hear
bit about your politics.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Maybe a little bit.
Well, he's
I'm making a whole song about it.
She said, hooray! Now we're human beings right here. Human beings. We're here together. Come on.
Meow, meow, meow. All right.
All right, so go on about the jerky, the beef jerky.
Well, yeah,
Beef jerky time.
So we're talking about Epstein and all of the weird stuff coming out in the emails, and it seems like he has had an obsession with traveling with or having lots of beef jerky, which, I mean,
Just
could be straight up. There's some emails where it's like, okay, because he had multiple people being like a chef and shit like that.
Mhm.
And so there's some emails that are talking about, okay, make sure to I'm going to be leaving, so make sure like the next supply of beef jerky is ready.
Mhm.
Which, look, that's if we're just looking at survival, yeah, like living off of really high quality like different jerkies and stuff like that is definitely like that makes sense. But then what everybody is worried about, or the conspiracy side, is that really we're talking about human stuff, human meat, human jerky. But yeah, it doesn't seem it's not clear yet whether or not he was facilitating this stuff or he was like really actually into it. My guess is that he was my own guess, that I have no proof for it in any way, shape, or form. My guess is that he was facilitating it, because I think he knew what he was doing. I'm running a blank check honeypot, and so my job is to, whatever weird shit you're into, yeah, sure, come to my island. I'll make sure you can do it here. You know what I mean? Like, I think
and to use every part of the buffalo. Don't let anything go to waste, right? So it would make sense that would be either literal beef jerky that they're making out of humans or what have you, or some sort of code word for something else that, but
or it
you
was
don't let
legit,
anything go
or
to
it was
waste.
or it's a legit, like he loved eating beef jerky, and so that was like a thing. Who knows, right? It's like,
right?
There's a huge giant range there. There's enough other really clearly fucked up stuff in the emails than us having to guess what beef jerky may or may not mean. There's so many other low-hanging fruit, you know what I mean? Because it could also just be straight up legitimate. That would make a lot of sense. Okay, like, okay, gotcha,
Just like pizza being mentioned over 900 times could just be that they love Domino's or Papa John's, or something, but likely that was code. And now that we know that pizza is a code for the pedophile shit, then it just seems worse. And not to mention when you mix in the whole Pizzagate thing,
it's like a dark comedy sketch. It's like, no, I really actually wanted pizza tonight. They're like, ah, damn it.
Yeah, I know. Which I thought of a funny skit would be like, we can make a mascot, a big alligator with a pizza logo as a superhero sign that we call Pizzagator. Right?
We have like the Trump pizza, the Epstein pizza, the Maxwell pizza, the Clinton pizza and stuff, bro. Oh my God. It's too soon, bro. It's too soon.
But we can make T-shirts of it. Sell T-shirts with the pizza.
We can have it's too soon, bro. This is like some 9/11 shit, bro. This is
I know.
Like in another year or two, like maybe. Oh my God.
Yeah, I had a good friend of mine, like I sent you that video of Kim the other day where she was talking.
Yep. It's much worse than. Oh no, that was the Whitney Webb one. I know the one you're talking about. I've got it on the screen over here. I've got one of them.
Yeah, I sent you a few from Kim one was all about the pandemic,
Yeah.
and right, and how these people, which is like duh, but it's just nice to have more corroboration come out pointing in that direction that builds a better case for, and honestly, I'd say, I was thinking about this, like there are different levels of disclosure or ways you could go about it. And one, you have like whatever, the people that go real deep and are going to willing to go super speculative, and then the people, on the other end of the spectrum that stay away from speculative and only will say things that they can really back up with, proof, not just some evidence, but proof, and I feel like people like whatever, Kim and Jimmy Dore and stuff like that, and many others, like they're on one closer to one end of the spectrum where they're willing to, as long as there's some sort of evidence or some sort of articles or some sort of researchers that are doing good work, they can base their thing on that. And then you have like on the closer, somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, like the Brett Weinsteins, who it's like, when is Brett Weinstein going to start talking about how the connections of this Epstein thing to the pandemic? And this is where it gets weird, because it's, even though like I still like Brett Weinstein, I have reservations about him, like we've talked about that before. Like I do feel like, whether wittingly or, I think part of the thing, we have to humanize this stuff as much as we can. And I feel like that's part of the role of the service that we're going to provide, because we're going to have other people like whatever, Whitney, Webb, or Jack Kruse that go like super fucking deep, that the Jimmy Dores and Kim Iversons are going to base their work on their findings. But someone like Brett Weinstein, as opposed to his brother, because his brother, Eric, is also a fucking super brilliant guy. But Eric is like, seems like, I don't know. He seems too smart for me to, I guess I'll cover my ass and say unwittingly, but he seems like he may be semi-wittingly involved, because he has too many connections to the evil and the badness, and he's a defender, and there's just certain narratives that to me indicate a person's role in this network, again, whether wittingly or unwittingly. And I feel like with Brett, there's more, it seems like it's more unwitting, and I feel like he's genuinely trying. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm being fooled and my hope is getting the best of me, because I really appreciated Brett's work during the pandemic, and it helped keep me sane to hear someone like him and his wife talking about things going on in real time, that I knew I felt that way and felt strongly that way, but having people like that saying it, and I think a lot of others, and from their comments section throughout the pandemic, a lot of other, Brett and his wife provided sanity and restored the sanity of those of us that knew we were being gaslit by all institutions around us, even though, and we were called Trumpers and all sorts of, anti-vaxxers and anti-science and whatever, conspiracy theorists, every bad name in the book, to gaslight you, to punish you, to say, stop thinking this way and just shut up and conform. Shut up and just get in line and lick these boots, And some of us were like, no fucking way. Maybe we can't explain it all, but we know something is rotten in Denmark. And like, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, I'm not willing to throw away Brett Weinstein completely, because he was so helpful to me in a certain way. Even though now, like, and then this can lead to how I was saying I want to talk about the black pill discussion, because black pill is this term that's another form of like calling someone a conspiracy theorist or an anti-vaxxer. It's just a way it's a pejorative that you use, but it's the people like Brett Weinstein or even Joe Rogan who are using these terms like black pill to describe people like Whitney Webb or Jack Kruse, or those who are like, no, I'm not going to peddle in half truths. I'm going to go for the full truth as best as I can. Whereas Brett Weinstein, he's like, because Whitney Webb, for example, they have this big fight online when Trump, after Trump became president, after a little while, there was a lot of people like Brett Weinstein that were basically like, hey, we have to give Trump the benefit of the doubt here because whatever, for his own reasons, because Brett kind of mobilized a certain segment to say, hey, we might not love Trump, but at least he's bringing in RFK Jr., and they're attempting to do the Maha thing, which was something that, like, hey, brought Jack Kruse under, right? He went on to Danny Jones with a Maha hat, So you could tell it was like Jack Kruse trying to overcome the desire for ultimate cynicism and nihilism, which is look, this is just part of the human emotional reactionary spectrum that the Brett Weinsteins and the Joe Rogans are calling black pill, even though out of the other side of his mouth, Brett Weinstein, one of his mantras throughout the pandemic was what he would say: no matter how cynical you think you are, you're still being naive, which is ultimately like, that's what black pill, if you're going to say the philosophy of black pill, in substance, not in the pejorative, would be that is like, stop, because the system we operate and exist in is one dominated by what we're seeing in these Epstein files, this satanic pedophile elites that are playing this chess game, and it's not just in America, it's around much of the world, and they're gonna strategically play, and the way like Jack Kruse talks about Meyer Lansky, because he says like Meyer Lansky was kind of like the original Epstein in certain ways, and that Meyer Lansky, even though in his story he says Meyer Lansky ends up being, oddly enough, being the hero, because Meyer Lansky realizes that let's just start using the code word here. I'll just start calling them the Rothys, instead of the child of Rothys, because I think we have to start covering our ass a little bit for these algorithms and shit that are gonna, I don't know. I just think we have to cover our ass a little bit, because whatever, this is a reality now, and we want to try to be as truthful and honest as we can, but at the same time be responsible that, like, at some point, like, we don't want to have our shit, we don't want to, have our chip turned off, and be completely unable to operate and have whatever money we've saved, and have it taken away from us. And he basically, because he says, even though Lansky was the original Epstein in many ways, he says he ends up becoming like the hero, because when they capture these Nazi spy boats and then they kill most of the people, the Nazi spies, there's this one Nazi doctor that they let live. I think it's Kurt Plotkin or something like that. And basically that guy, they let him live because that guy started spilling the beans, saying that they've been torturing. They're not necessarily trying to kill all the Jews. They're trying to torture them and brainwash them using things like Mexican peyote. And they want to, they don't necessarily want to kill them all, but they want them all out of Germany, and they want them and all out of Europe, and they all want them going to Palestine. And that when Lansky finds out that the Rothys are part, and the royal family of the British royal family and the Vatican are help bring Hitler and the Nazis to power, and they're using that for multiple different aims. Lansky gets so disgusted with the Rothys that he basically starts turning against them and that's when he says that Meyer Lansky eventually gets ahead of the monetary 8 ball of the Rothys and the Rockefellers and starts like tracking their financial movements in a way that they didn't that the R and let's just call them R and R, the Rothys and the Rockies, that the R and R had built this financial system of control and that Lansky was seeing through it. And now that he was so pissed for the R and R's role in the Holocaust, his way of vengeance was he was seeing their financial moves ahead, making money off of it. And Jack Kruse basically says that's what leads eventually to us having to go off the gold standard, or that plays a role in it. And then Lansky comes up with the concepts or the ideas that would eventually become Bitcoin. And that Bitcoin is the form of digital currency that will be that will give a loyal title to the individual, and it was like a fly in the ointment of the R and R financial matrix.
Yes.
And so it's interesting, right? The guy who, and that's why I was like, I would love to have for us to have on for multiple hours, like Whitney Webb and Jack Kruse at the same time to help kind of parse out some of these details. Because I would love to know from Jack Kruse, like, all right, I want to understand more, because he also talks about how at the top, what's going on now, what Trump has done is Trump is kind of abandoning the bankers, even though he's completely beholden to the jizz, to my peeps in the Middle East. But he said he basically thrown his lot in with the transhumanists and like the Peter Thiel kind of surveillance state. That's the control grid. And and he was saying that basically the bankers and the transhumanists are kind of fighting each other, which I would like to know more about, because I was like, why are they necessarily fighting each other? I would have assumed the bankers funded these people and brought them in, and that's just part of their plan. I wouldn't have assumed that they're necessarily fighting each other, but maybe that's part of the nuance of how this isn't necessarily so monolithic, but there are these little, different power groups or special interest groups that are fighting each other and competing.
Well, it may be generational. The bankers might be the boomer Illuminati, and the transhumanists are the born right in 1990.
That's a good.
I don't know, right? I'm just because there's obviously a boomer Illuminati going on, and then you're gonna have other groups since then. You know what I mean? There's a benefit to belonging to a secret society. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And while Jack does go somewhat into secret society stuff, a little bit, it talks about like the Fabian socialists and shit like that. Even, I don't know if you could technically call them a secret society, but all these groups like serve as secret societies, whether you can technically call them a secret society or not. You get people that adhere to a certain ideology, and like I say, my definition of ideology is believing in being a true believer in something you don't fully understand, and it's a way to get someone. Normally, you have to pay someone to work for you. With ideology, you brainwash them to work for you for free. They're motivated. Like most people I know, friends and family that are all into the jizz, and I stand with the jizz. Like they don't know what the fuck's going on. They've been brought up in this like basically trauma-based mind control, just like I was for the first 30 years of my life, that I didn't know much different till that time that you brought up like the USS Liberty, and that was when I was like, shit, what's going on here? And started to, because before that I just assumed, because I was brainwashed and was a true believer that anyone who spoke ill of the jizz was just an anti-Semite, you know, or motivated by anti-Semitism, which is what most of my family and friends think, you know, but that's because they were brought up to think that way. And things like the Holocaust and the pogroms, you know, were the trauma part, you know, that was used to make it so that you would become a true believer in something you don't really understand, you know, which leads to another thing that Jack Kruse talks about, which is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is basically because you're ignorant of certain details and aspects of reality, you base a worldview or a way to see things based on, at least in part, based on these, like this ignorance and these holes in your knowledge that allow you to believe something that isn't true. And you operate under that model, kind of like the people that are like, vaccines good, so I will take any and all vaccines. Where it's like, wait, these vaccines here, say for example, the COVID ones, like these are really bad. And they're like, they won't hear it, they won't be receptive to it, because to them it's very black and white. And it's like Mark Twain says, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I talked to, for example, I talked to my dad on Friday, and we had talked for like over an hour, and we had a really good conversation. It was like, I don't know, it was very surprisingly refreshing. Like, because I was telling him about, I was like, so have you heard about some of these Epstein releases? And he was like, oh, I've heard about them, but I don't really know much about them. So I was basically like, he was like, tell me. And so I started telling him some of the stuff, and I could hear it in his voice. He was like, oh. Like, you know, he was like,
I didn't want to go in that room.
Yeah, exactly. He did not want to go that way. But he was like, you know, he was just like, and so, but I could just hear it, like him having to confront the cognitive dissonance.
Right. Yes.
You know, him having to be like, oh my God, there's more to this story than I realized. And that, you know what, this is, I don't know if I want to go deeper into this, you know, but at least he was like, you know, and I stopped and I would just tap on the brakes and be like, all right, I don't want to like really hurt you. I just want you to like understand a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You are willfully ignoring certain things.
Yeah, for real.
You know,
because they're upsetting, not because they're inconsequential or
exactly
like not really useful or whatever. No, it's because it is such a big deal.
Yes. You know, and like, and when I was telling him about like the stuff about eating the people, you know, I just heard him go, oh God, you know, it was like it hit him. It was like this little part of his heart was open, you know, like that Rumi saying, your heart has to be broken over and over again until it finally opens, you know, like, but his trauma-based mind control is so deep, you know. He was born in like 47, you know, 2 years after the Holocaust, you know. It was just like, it's just so deep. That thorn in his paw is so fucking deep. Like, I don't know if you can pull it out, you know, like, or not without major surgery. And he's got to consent to that, you know. I'm not willing to, you know, hold him down and force it out, you know. But I don't know, it was an indicator. It was like, there's something going on, you know, where he was just a little bit more open to it than normal, you know, but he'd rather remain willfully ignorant. And I get it, you know, like I can't fully blame him, you know. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes this stuff really, really hurts me and really upsets me, you know, and it hits me so deep in a way that, and then I have to stop, you know, I have to like, then I'll go to like Alan Watts or Ram Dass or whatever, like, you know, the light stuff, the light and fluffy stuff.
I mean, ditto. That's why, that's why I
Right?
laugh, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna watch some how to make bread videos now.
Right. Yeah, right. Because I guess you gotta know your limits, and know thyself, because otherwise you don't want to like break in half, and
Yeah.
like I did at the beginning of COVID when I had that vision and breakdown and was, but I'm glad I did that. I had to shed that skin, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't drag that skin around anymore, of realizing like, no, this is real. This is not just a theoretical thing. This is really happening. And now it's affecting all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed better sources that were relevant to the medical stuff and the science that I just didn't have. I had the good sources for whatever, foreign policy shit
Yeah.
and some of whatever the history of all this shit. But that's because I, did the Smedley Butler research for so many years,
Yeah.
that it forced me to really get like a a greater handle and mastery of that context to the empire, in a way that before that it was just like conspiracy theory, and mostly conspiracy theory, which I think is fine as a starting point, because like nothing is out of bounds. You're like willing to consider anything, even no matter how far-fetched it sounds, and that's part of the thing that prevents most people from opening up their heart or their mind to this stuff, is that the stuff just sounds so far-fetched, that they're like, come on, you can't tell me that whatever, like 9/11 didn't happen the way they said, or you can't tell me that COVID came, you don't think that it came from nature? Are you a racist? And it's like, you think it came from a lab because you're a racist, and it's, these things that prevent us from opening our hearts and minds, to, because of our limited ability to understand what reality is, because we're just this flawed human being that with limited perceptions and perspectives, and it's like a jail. It's, none is more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely think they are free. And that's how you unshackle the mind from the ideology of the slave mentality that we were all born into, Hmm.
Keep this going. Let's see. No, I don't want that there. And then, okay, the Glenn Greenwald, Venezuela ships first crude cargo to Israel as oil exports reopen after Maduro's ouster.
Right? Like, shocker.
And Graders, what was it? Okay. And then from Kruse, the Robert Kraft's Blue Square Alliance charity built a command center inside the Patriot Stadium that's tracking hate speech online, critical of Israel, Jews, Zionism in real time.
Right?
Note 2, she is trying to restore the Rockefeller-Maxwell Alliance by keeping Pater Atia on as their spokesman for centralized medicine. Do you know who this Pater Atia person is?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm looking that up.
But it's interesting with the Robert Kraft thing, because I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl or heard about the ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was like that ad that was about like stop anti-Semitism. And it was like, dude, I mean, I get their strategy. It's a smart strategy if they can thread that needle. But it's like so tone deaf. It's like, hey, my brothers, like go like some white guy and dressed out in like some sort of, over the top hip hop clothes, like, hello, my brothers. won't you come and dance with me? And it's like, who do you think this is working on? Maybe like white people are buying that shit.
Oh yeah,
It's
the
not white,
people.
is it
Yeah,
gonna
that's
buy
what
this shit?
advertising does. It doesn't make
Yeah,
people
yeah,
buy the product. It makes you good for having already makes you feel good for having already bought the product.
yeah, yeah.
Like, oh,
And it's
I drink Coke too. Awesome. You know,
mhm.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
it's confirmation bias. It's
yeah,
like
totally.
so yeah, the commercials are for people already bought the product.
Hmm.
Amazingly, bro,
Uh-huh.
New York Times yesterday
Uh-huh.
has an article. Peter Attia's ties to Epstein sparks a backlash from doctors. What started as a rebuke of Dr. Attia has become a discussion about his credentials, longevity medicine, and whom patients should trust. So just like just a nail.
Yep.
It. I mean, that's a day. This is like a day before. That's February 9th.
Uh-huh.
The Kruse thing. So
Hmm.
he's just hitting it on the head.
Dude, he
Wow.
really is. Yeah. See, the thing is, I've sent him to people, and they're like, "What's he basing this stuff on? What's he basing this stuff on?" And it's like, look, this guy has spent decades researching this shit. And he has insider access in certain ways that is like Seymour Hersh. He's not in any hurry to out who his sources are. You know, and but he is so fucking right on the money on so many things. Like he's been on this Peter Attia thing for so long because I like functional health, but the functional health is there is to guard against the stuff that Jack Kruse is all about. Because Jack Kruse is like the real shit that MK Ultra was about. It wasn't just about the brainwashing through drugs like the Nazis did. That was part of it. But really what it was about was, or as according to him, is that the polarized light and the blue light and these different frequencies and all that shit, and using that stuff to weaken people and brainwash them. Which now everyone is an addict of that shit. You know, um, and the functional health stuff, which I like. It's good. It's good. It's a lot better than the allopathic shit. But the real shit is the light, like Jack Kruse, light, water, magnetism, and that these people know, the people that are running this, they know that, and they use MK Ultra to figure that shit out. And he was a medical resident at in New Orleans at this hospital called the Charity Hospital, where he basically went to their vaults and found these documents that he says they were basically misfilings because Richard Helms was the head of the CIA, who I think stepped down as the head of the CIA maybe around 73 or 75, in that range. And that basically when he and the CIA heard that they were going to do the church committees and start investigating this shit, he basically gave an order, even though he was leaving, and he chose someone to be in charge of destroying the documentation of a lot of their misdeeds, and so they destroyed a lot of the things and a lot of the things pertaining to MK Ultra. But that Jack Kruse says, because there were certain misfilings, a lot of those documents went to this charity hospital in New Orleans where he was a resident. So he got access to these documents. But I think this was in the 90s that he got access to it. And so he like realized, and that, this was about light. And this was about using light and magnetism and wired technology, wired and wireless technology, like that Dr. Delgado, like putting the wires in the bull to make the bull stop from charging, that whole thing.
Yep.
Right. And like applying those things, which is why, like, again, the Nazis were used for a number of reasons. It was like a little ant farm that they set up, like to beta test and try out a lot of shit, because it wasn't that easy to just do all this shit on humans. and mice don't translate to human. The research you do on mice
Not
doesn't,
always. No.
not always, it's very flawed, um, and to do it on real human beings on a mass level where you have enough people to do it on, that's not easy, and so you outsource that shit, and just like with 9/11, you have these different countries that are involved in it, because it's not like the intelligence services, the domestic intelligence service in America, they don't necessarily want to put their fingerprints all over that shit. They'd rather, just like Epstein, it's like you want to do that shit in this island, you know? You want to do it in other countries and all around the world. And it's not just this one single country thing. It's how you basically cover your ass, by having it so that the trail of evidence, breadcrumbs, don't lead so directly to you. And that's one of the functions that the Nazis served this global empire or deep state or pedophile, satanic pedophile elite or whatever, or Frankists, as Professor Zhang would talk about, which the whole philosophy is, yeah, the rules and the laws are there for idiots to follow.
Right.
And the only way you gain greater wisdom or become a better chess player than everyone else is to break all the fucking rules. And that someone like Epstein was like the bosses said, we want A, B, and C accomplished. And then gave that bat signal out to all of their underlings, and said, go ahead and achieve. If you get this, whoever wins that, you get the big bonus, and then you get the big promotion and all that shit, and it's like, and someone like Epstein, and I'm sure there are many other Epsteins. I'm sure there are many fucking other Epsteins, and that they're like, and some people are trying to use the rules. They're like, well, if I buy enough of this stock and sell enough of that, I can have this money and then use that money to pay people. It's like, all right, you can do that. But like what Jack Kruse was saying about Meyer Lanski, the original Epstein, was that Meyer Lanski didn't collect countries. He collected people. He collected people. He would get the footage or pictures of J. Edgar Hoover having gay sex, which back then that was enough.
Hell yeah.
Back then that was enough. And then now you had the blackmail and the leverage over J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI for decades. And then that's what led J. Edgar Hoover to be like, that's how this game is played? All right, I'll play it too. And he did the same and had blackmail on everyone, that he could have on, so that all these people that might have wanted to get him out and ouster him, they couldn't. And that's a big part of the game. So those who are willing to break the rules and become the best at breaking the rules will achieve the success for their bosses and then get the promotion and all that, and that's why it's like interesting. Like people are now like, I feel like, I love Kim Iverson, but like she was like, I don't know, maybe Epstein is really the boss of this. And I'm like, what? How can you think that, Like this guy is just such a manager. He's not an owner, he's a manager, And you have all these assets all around, these people like the Les Wexner, and Les Wexner gives Epstein the power of attorney, and gives him the giant property in New York City. And and then you set that up, you rig the whole thing with cameras. I'm just saying, it's this whole, it's this whole fucking
well, that's standard. That's like,
right?
It's like you're it's like opening a franchise, like a Taco Bell franchise, And,
exactly.
And so you go to the people already operating the corporate, and you go, hey, I want to open a franchise. And they're like, okay, where?
Yeah.
Here. Okay, cool. You know, let's go. You know,
Yep.
you're going to make good money, but so will we. You know, because
Yep.
it's essentially an pyramid organization. You know, the information is gonna flow to the top, and then the money is gonna flow down from the top to make everything happen. Because, like you're saying, information at that level is way more powerful than money, because you can use information to make money at the very minimum. I mean, you can control people, you can, I mean, right, but you need to make some money, no freaking problem. Okay, cool. I forgot where I was going. Anyway, collecting people, yes.
Yeah, and you're talking about the franchise and
yeah, right. No, and like, you know, he had the Zorro Ranch that he bought for $200 and stuff. Did you know that?
Right.
Like, it's like, oh yeah, we'll set you up. Like, you need a spot. You need a spot to do this stuff, no problem. We'll set you up. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, we know how to do this. Yeah.
Which is probably why you're here talking to me right now. You know,
right.
Otherwise, no one comes to meet with me unless they're interested in this line of business, you know. And it seems like it's, I mean, as with most of the highest levels of human knowledge, it only gets passed down in the family. So you need to get married into it, or your dad and grandfather already did it, and so you get folded in that way. Yeah, that's all the best shit. I mean, that's just, and I think it probably still is that way. I think if you have information that's that valuable, you don't put it in a book, you don't publish it, you tell your firstborn son, or you know, I don't know what else. Maybe your business partner, if you've both like got enough blackmail on each other where like neither one of you can stab the other guy in the back, you know. But it's like, you're gonna pass it down through your family, and for a bazillion freaking reasons, besides the fact, like we were talking about before, then you're brainwashed into that situation. You know, if you can raise a child in a Christian household and make them Christian, or in a Buddhist household and make them Buddhist, you can raise them in a Moloch household and make them a Molochist, a Baalist or something. It's like, no problem. It's like, that's what we're the best. Everybody else sucks. You know, we were chosen by these like divine forces to rule the world. It's fucking awesome.
Right.
Like, look at these sheep over here, you know, let's kill a couple of them and you'll see that it's no big deal. You're not going to get in trouble. It's some good eating. And you're going to feel like powerful, you know, you see, like we were saying before, the rules of this world don't apply to you.
Exactly, which brings it back to the Frankus thing. The rules don't apply to you. The rules are there for stupid people, you know, and you got to keep the animals in the cage, you know, and you don't want them wandering off the pasture. If they knew that they could just bash through this barrier and quickly free themselves, that would be a problem, and we have to spend more money, you know, to keep them in.
Oh, and that dovetails into my theory of why you would want, if there are ways to travel at or past the speed of light that aren't such a big deal, like the internal combustion engine, for instance, it's not that big of a deal. Or like a record player, it seems like magic. It's actually not that big of a deal. Once you understand the principle. I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So if there is a way to create a gravity engine or something like that, you want to keep the animal in the cage, you cannot give the animal a faster than light engine. Because if they want, they can just fucking leave and never come back. And you've lost all control at that point. You've got to keep people on the planet, and then the next level is in their state, in their country. You restrict traveling. You make it super expensive. You're going to need to have certain documents, and certain countries you're not allowed to go to fucking anyway. You can't go to like North Korea or some shit. Like, there's going to be places you're just not allowed to go to.
Right.
So control the body. Yeah, this is back to Foucault. You do not have to control, according to Foucault, you
Mhm.
just control the body, control Foucault, the body. You can let them think whatever they want. Because it's like, yeah, these Moloch Baal guys are running the show. Time for me to go to work.
Right.
So it doesn't
Right.
matter. It doesn't matter that what people know, as long as they're still going to go turn the cog of the system tomorrow. As long as they're still going to wake up to go to work tomorrow at 9 a.m., I don't care. In fact, it's a pain in the ass to keep these secrets.
Yeah. We'd
Like,
rather
if
them
there's
not
a
be
way we can reveal what we're doing and Starbucks still runs tomorrow, is open tomorrow for my orange mocha frappuccino, then let's go that way.
Yeah,
Let's figure it that way. And it seems like we've gotten to that point.
Right? It does seem that way.
Yeah, like, yeah, we're eating babies because that's how rich we are. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I kind of suspected that this whole time. Like,
Yeah,
I was right. Okay, see you at work tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly. See you at work tomorrow. It's like, wow, this is fascinating. This is terrifying, but I still see you at work tomorrow.
Yeah. So as long as our bodies are controlled, then it won't matter the knowledge. And then that's making me think of one of my most favorite quotes from, and I don't know it exactly, but from the sorcery books with Don Juan. And Don Juan is, Carlos is like, don't you need to like keep this knowledge secret from people? And Don Juan's like, no, and here's why. Let's say you have a group of 100 people and you tell this group this amazing secret. Only half of that group is actually listening. So you've cut down to 50 people. Only half of that group of the 50 will actually believe what you said. Now you're down to 25. Only half of that group will then use that knowledge, will start to like actually try and use that knowledge. And now you're down to 12. Only half of that group will continue doing it with enough consistency to actually get like any results. And now you're down to like 6.
Yeah.
So it just won't matter. It won't matter. You can reveal all the stuff. No one's actually listening. No one's actually going to believe you. No one's actually going to take the knowledge and use it. And no one's going to do that consistently actually get results. Or it's like the 10,000 hour thing. Well, it's the 50/10,000 hour. The first part is that most people stop improving at a new skill after 50 hours because of what makes the 10,000 hour rule work, which is that practicing something for 10,000 hours does not yield a master. Targeted practice for 10,000 hours will create mastery. Targeted practice means identifying the areas that I'm weak in and continuing to train those, because after the first 50 hours.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.
Hello?
Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.
Okay,
Meow, meow,
I
meow.
can hear you now. You said
Okay.
targeted practice means?
Targeted practice means identifying the areas I'm weak in and then continuing to train those on purpose to eliminate my weaknesses. Because what happens after 50 hours is that we find the things that we like within a subject or a habit or something and only continue to do those. We stop targeting the areas that we're weak in.
I feel like I suffer from that at times.
We all do. No, that's because it's called pain. It's called going towards pain on purpose. I suck in this area, so I'm gonna therefore go in that area on purpose. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's the relation. It's our relationship to pain. It's being willing to go towards pain for some reason, and it's going to be based on some belief system that we have that makes us willing or not willing to go towards our areas of weakness or pain or be vulnerable. It's like the Brene Brown. She's like the expert in vulnerable communication. And she says, I have people come up to me all the time and say, I love your work. Because of you, I love being vulnerable. And she says, well, that means you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. You're not supposed to love it.
No, vulnerability will feel like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Because you're going towards a fear. You're going towards something that you want to, that a person wants to avoid. Like you're talking about with your dad. You can tell they don't want to go there. I don't want to go in that room.
Yeah.
But it's like you'll grow as a person. Like, fuck that. That's painful. That means I have to question my beliefs that I've held for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And then this is all UG, by the way. And then if I'm going to question the knowledge I have now, I have to question the people or the systems that gave me the knowledge. And I have to wonder, did they even know what the fuck they were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's scary because now we are questioning knowledge itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is what our egos, our personalities are based on. It's based on a belief system. It's based on knowledge. This is good. This is bad. These people are good. This is bad. And then to find out that actually the way that we are judging others is fatally flawed, and ourselves.
Fatally flawed indeed.
Yeah. And so then what, like, crap, I can't judge anyone accurately. I can't even judge myself accurately. It's like, yes, welcome to Christianity.
And that reminds me of I think either one of them or both of them, Ram Dass or Alan Watts, say that the reality is we have nowhere to stand.
Correct.
Like there's nothing to stand on.
Correct.
And that's
absolutely
like
right.
there's no firm ground to stand on. It's like the idea of certainty is one of the great illusions.
Absolutely.
Like we just have to become comfortable with the uncertainty. But that is painful.
Look, it is.
That's the after 50-hour thing.
Well, that's the letting. Now you're letting go of the self. You're letting go of the self by doing that.
Yep.
The things that we're taking as an a priori assumption, we have to even let those go. And that's like, then it feels like nothing. It feels like my brain starts to like not be able to work. You know, it's a weird feeling all of a sudden. It shuts off thinking. It folds thinking onto itself. If you go, these are all the UG methods. Like, are we sure that there are even thoughts? Or is that another idea that was pushed onto us to control us? Or is there even love? You know, stuff like that. Where the brain goes, oh, crap.
I know. You know, that's one of the mantras that's been in my head for these past, ever since the breakdown I had at the beginning of COVID. One of the mantras is, I'm trying to learn how to love. You know, because everyone's like, what do you mean? It's like, you love this or you love that. And it's like, no, you don't get it.
No.
Like, it's like, because
that means defining it. And I think in most cases we haven't defined the terms that we're using that make up our belief system. And that's one of my main things that I do with clients. If they're really like ready to change, is I'll have them start defining terms. Like for a lot of people, if they're still angry or pissed off of people in their past, somehow they need to let it go or forgive them or move on or heal. There's all these different words that mean the same thing. The question is, what does that mean to the person? How do they know? How do they know? Or I'll say it for myself, it'll make it easier. How do I know when I have actually forgiven someone? How do I know that I've actually done that? Because it's not just saying I forgive them. You can say that and still be pissed at the motherfucker. So the question, so it means defining it. What are the steps? How do I know that it's worked? How do I know that it's failed? And then we start to freak out. And then people go, and because inevitably, right? It's like the same. It's so interesting. It's like the same thing that happens every time, which is that we go, oh my God, I just realized I don't know how to forgive somebody. Or I've been using this term, I've been using this word, but actually I don't know the steps of it. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm going to start thinking about this and looking at it and figure out what it is so that then I can actually do it. And then we can, because it's our belief system, we can hack our own belief system. It's very difficult to hack somebody else's, but we can hack our own because we can go, oh, forgiveness means this for me, or it means this sensation, or it means I have to do these 5 things and then wait a year, or whatever the fuck it is, right? We do our system is, and so for you, what for you, like you said, you have a definition of what love is. You, and it's particular to you. It may have some Venn diagram overlap with other people, but it will be uniquely your definition, just like my definition of love will be uniquely my own. It will not match other people's. There may be some overlap, but it will be unique to you. So what you're saying, when you're saying, I'm trying to learn how to love, that means it's a specific experience that you're after, that you know, because you know when you're feeling it and you know when you're not. And so the question is how to hack that experience, to cause that experience to arise in us, to hack that experience, to get in the flow state on demand, like Watts says or something. That's the measure of an artist, that the artist has a show tonight at 8 o'clock. They have to be able to get into the flow state, into the play state tonight at 8. They can't wait. They can't turn it. Oh, geez. I'll wait. Meow, meow, meow. All right, we back.
Hello. Last thing I heard was you're talking about Watson, and then you said the flow state, and then the artist, and that was the last.
Right. No, because this is Alan Watts. He's saying that's the definition of the artist. The artist knows that they can get themselves in a flow state because they've got a performance tonight at 8 o'clock. So they have to be able to do it on demand. Not just, ooh, I feel inspiration now, I'm going to play music. It's being able to hack our own state into the experience that we want, that's based off of our own definition. It will not be somebody else's definition. So when you're talking about love, or I'm talking about love, that means a very specific experience for you. And research-wise, I'll just add this in. This sounds like very directive to you. I don't mean it like that. This is more for people
I'm
that are
loving
listening.
it. Keep going. Go.
The way everybody tries to hack their state incorrectly, okay? This is what everybody does, me included. We go, okay, when I'm in the flow state, everything feels easy, and I'm able to like shoot free throws at 90%, or that kind of thing. But then that information doesn't allow us to get it back into it later on. We can't go, it's time to shoot 90% free throws or something. That information doesn't allow us to hack state. What does is the somatic symptoms, meaning when you're in the flow state or when you are feeling love, according to you, we need to go in and start gathering the somatic symptoms. What does our foot feel like? What is the rate of breathing? What is our blood pressure? How are our eyes moving? What is our tongue doing? How are we listening to the environment? We need the somatic states because you can dial those in. If you find out that when you feel love or you're in the flow state, that your breathing is at 30 breaths a minute or something, I don't fucking know, I'm admitting it, then you can dial, you can, because we can control some of our autonomic nervous system, we can slow down our breathing. If we realize that when we're in the flow state, our eyes are relaxed and unfocused, which they typically are, we're looking at a larger, as we become stressed out, we begin to overfocus with our eyes. So we begin to look below the horizon line at one spot, and we just get locked in there because really we're going into our mind and we're going, So if you see for the person that when I'm in the flow state or when I'm feeling love, my eyes are just looking at the whole thing. And I'm not over focused and they're above the horizon level. And it's like, or when I'm in the flow state or feeling love or whatever the fuck the person is after, I'm listening to everything. I'm listening all around me. I'm listening even to what's happening outside right now. And I'm seeing how far my hearing awareness is reaching out. You can do that. You can go, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to start. Okay, how far away can I hear things? Oh, wait, I can hear somebody walking down the sidewalk, and you can dial in the somatic states, and you can trigger the state that way. Whatever you want to feel, a person wants to feel, whatever person wants to feel, if you dial in the somatic symptoms, you can trigger it. It's just like hypnosis or meditation or something. You're doing a specific thing. Slow down your breathing. Slow down your breathing. Close your eyes or focus on a dot. You know, all of these spiritual traditions and stuff like that. That's what they're doing. That's what the technique. That's what they're doing. They're giving you the technique so you can dial in your state to maybe trigger the state that they were in. Because those are humans. Those are humans trying to teach us, right? That like, bro, I felt like I was one with the universe. It's like, really? How did you do it? Well, I sat like this. I breathed like this. I looked like this. I imagined this in my mind. I did these prayers. I said this mantra, whatever, you know, they're giving us they're trying anyway. The issue is that it doesn't work for everybody. So we have to question, why isn't this technique working for me? And in my opinion, it's because we have to define our terms and we have to collect the somatic, what it actually feels like to us. Because what worked for Buddha may not fucking work for me. And and the motherfucker said the same thing. He's like, look, if this doesn't work for you, try something else. Keep trying things until you find the thing that fucking works.
Yeah.
Wow, I just ranted for a long time.
No, that was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, no, and there are different types of flow state and different,
absolutely,
you know, and different, I don't know, planes of, you know, I guess they call astral planes or planes of consciousness, you know, and I guess there are places of where you're going for relaxation, and then you could say the other end of the spectrum would be go for utter chaos and frenzy. You know,
and that's where the person's belief system comes in, because it might be like, yo, here's a meditation that'll help you relax, and they're like, that's not what I'm fucking after.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, then tell me what you are after. You know?
Yeah. totally. You know, because you know, obviously, relaxation is one that most go for.
Yes.
You know, I would say, you know, and sometimes it's what I go for, but also I like the other end of the spectrum, the frenzied, chaotic, you know, especially that's the flow state I guess tapped into with music, you know, and it was something that worked for me. It was something I was able to, in a way, escape the confines of my body and mind.
Yeah.
You know, to really come in touch with, I don't know, for lack of a better word, the divine, you know?
Yes, exactly.
You know, and you know, like almost like that Hunter S. Thompson quote, I like, he who escapes, you have to make a beast of himself to escape the burdens of being a man. You know? And this is something that is, I'm finding a lot of the people who go deep into the stuff we go into, a lot of them are Christian and see it through a lens of Christianity, of like good and evil and demons, you know, angels and demons kind of thing, which I'm open to. You know, I don't necessarily view it so black and white myself. And maybe I should consider that more. I don't know. I mean, because I guess, you know, when I got into like writing poetry and music, I would tap into some place where I would put myself into like a trance or hypnotic state or flow state. And I know like a lot of, you know, people who I like, you know, like that guy Kurt Metzger, you know, will talk with all these people, and you know, I don't know, sometimes they interpret this stuff as like you're playing with these demons in a way, and you're opening up this space in you for like these demons to come in. And I don't necessarily view it that way myself, even though I do remember when I started really tapping into this stuff, sophomore year in college, you know, which is like 30 fucking years ago. One of the things I would do would be like, I'd have this debates with myself, where I would think about something deeply and reach some sort of mental flow state where I would start peeling back the layers of a thought or something that's happening, and peeling back the layers of it till I get closer to the center or the root of it. And when I'd be like, I'm at the root, I'm at the center, I'm there, then this thing in me that I would call the devil would be like, oh, when you think you're there and you've reached the destination, that's the devil. Like almost maybe that's like equivalent to like the 50-hour thing in some ways, or has parallels to it, where in a way you're trying to
like there's actually so much more, but we're trying to like be like, this is the last island. It's like, no, there's actually more. It's just beyond the horizon.
Yeah,
it seems like the last island, sure, but if you'll sail 3 days in that direction, you'll see there's more, or something like that. Okay.
You know, like whatever it is we're searching for, it's some form of grass is always greener, or desire, you know, whatever you lack, you know, the only thing that you can see is all that you lack, you know? And so whatever you're lacking, or you think you're lacking, or insufficient or insecure about, you have this desire.
Yes.
Which is the root of the suffering.
Yes.
Right? And so when you go on that path of that desire to whatever it is, the thing that you want to change or learn about, you go on this path, and I like this definition that desire is a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you get the thing you think you want.
Hold on, I got to write that down. Desire to contract with yourself. Say it again.
The desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get the thing that you think you want.
And I just wrote above that. I have to add this on because it's just perfect. Because that is the, and what I want to say is that what I found in myself and in other people, we don't know what we want. We want everything.
Exactly.
We want fucking everything. We want, or as you usually say, we want only pleasure, no pain for the rest of our lives.
Yes. Right. Which is a desire.
Right. And so in a way, there's kind of like a, the desire, or the desire that's springing from the insecurity or the shame or the guilt is false, because we're scared, we're insecure or have shame or guilt over something that wasn't bad in the first place.
The desire that stems from the shame or the guilt was the last I heard.
Stems from something we shouldn't have been embarrassed of in the first place.
Right.
It's the Garden of Eden thing. It's that we get embarrassed of our naked bodies and we cover it up, and then God goes, or whoever's playing God in that play goes, oh God, oh crap. You just became self-conscious, like, this is terrible. Like, wow, so you're embarrassed of your naked bodies. Crap. This is probably not a good thing. But then goes and says to the other gods, now they shall be like gods like us.
Through that. That's the journey we have to go through to attain something closer to self-knowledge. Right? And wisdom, to be like, you know what? He is like this holy child, you know, and he's a small child, but he is, you know, being mentored by Father Zosima, you know, and when Father Zosima dies, his body has like a stench to it, like most dead people, but there's some sort of belief in that in that church that if your body smells that soon, then it means something was wrong with you and something was bad about you. And how Father Zosima was considered one of the highest priests. And it's been a long time, so I might be fudging a detail or two, but then all the other priests start like this rumor mill starts, where they're all like, oh, it's almost like all these priests that were not as true as that one, they all seize on this moment to try to like pull him down, even though he's dead, and is at his like funeral. They're all like, oh, he, like this guy smelled so clearly, he was a fraud or not who he claimed to be. And the Aloysia is so disheartened by like, the pettiness of all of these priests that that are just seizing on the opportunity to, shit on Zosima and I guess they feel like elevate themselves by pushing him down. That Aloysia basically is like, he becomes disillusioned with the church and decides he kind of has to leave. So like basically this person who was, because as a child, like we have that beauty and we're so in touch with that divinity that, but it's not challenged and tested, and it's not tested until you lose it, because all of us eventually lose whatever it is that we have. And which is part of the thing with desire, the trap of desire. Even when you get the thing you want, people are like, well, what's the problem with getting what you want? Because isn't that great to get what you want? It's like, no, because that's another trap. Once you get what you want, you're eventually going to lose it, and then how are you going to be without that thing, and so that's why desire is this endless cycle of suffering. Even if temporarily it feels good because you got the thing you want,
right? Yes,
it's like you're going to lose that thing.
Yes.
And so Aloysia loses the thing, just like all of us eventually have to come in contact with this fall from grace, or the we feel ashamed of our naked body and our true nature, and because we've misperceived certain realities because we imprinted the ways to perceive those realities through our culture, our elders, our peers, and all that, but those were very flawed definitions and understandings, and that's why each one of us eventually has to become disillusioned and lose the success that we once had, to realize that we need to come up, each one of us has to come up with our own definitions of these terms and ways of seeing the world. And until we do that, we're working and operating under other people's definitions of these things. And so it's not our own. So it's like we're building, a house of a spiritual and philosophical house of straw, because it was easy.
Yes.
And not the spiritual house of brick that will hold up and be the close, because there's nowhere to stand, but we can develop this sense within us that is more accurate and more finely attuned to the true North Star, or the root of life, which is, the noble truths, and accepting our relationship with the outside world, and the desire that comes with that, and the pain and embarrassment and the shame that comes with being rejected and losing the things that matter the most to us. But until you lose that shit, you're in this prison of golden bars, that you're never going to leave that prison of golden bars, and like, I say to Steph a lot, there's this, her brother-in-law that I talk about, I'm like, the big difference between me and him is my greatest success is my failures. His greatest failure is his success. Wow. Because he's never really failed, because his illusions work too well for him, that he is necessity is the mother of invention, and he never truly feels the need to really take his thing to the next level, he's staying within this 50-hour time frame instead of the 10,000, even though he thinks he's doing his 10,000 hours.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and everyone does.
Everybody does. Absolutely. That's the caveat for the 10,000 hour rule. That exactly. And we think we are, but really we're just adding more straw rooms to the straw house.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, I got to use the restroom.
Okay.
We hit our time. We hit our more
mark.
than an hour. It was awesome as always.
Oh,
I wanted
awesome
to mention this other thing before, so I can just close this freaking window. Which is that there's a bunch of people working together on Twitter and X. These like tech savvy people, and they are really, really close to being able to recover the Jeffrey Epstein email attachments.
What? Explain that to me, because I'm
like, you know, they have at least one or two of his email accounts totally hacked, and you can just go and read his emails.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's like a really big deal. And
wow,
one of the sites is just like blowing up and has gotten like huge. It's getting millions and millions of viewers and blah blah blah. And the guy who started it reached out to the community and said, you know, like, this is going to cost me like $37,000 and I don't freaking have this. And so the owner of the website, like management company or whatever, said, you've done something that everybody tries to do, like build a website and it get really fucking popular. So we're going to cover your fees. We will continue to host this for free. But anyway, so if you go to these mirrored email sites and you read through his emails, there's all these emails he sent or that were sent to him that had attachments on it, pictures, movies, whatever. Those were not available. But these tech guys, these hacker guys, are now working together, and they are really close to, if not already having maybe gotten it, to kind of decode, unencrypt all of the attachments, bro. All of the pictures and videos and shit. Like the hold on, the Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem.
You froze.
Am I back? Am I back? Am I back?
Oh, you're back.
Am I back? Okay. So on that list that the congressman read off, there's the Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem name. That guy sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein with an attachment called torture vid. And Jeffrey Epstein responded, loved the torture vid.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Okay.
So like there's that kind of stuff, those kind of attachments. They're working on getting access to those. And they're really fucking close.
Wow.
So
you see, it's interesting because I'm just, again, if one of the greater new noble truths that we have to consider is just we have to become comfortable with uncertainty, then we have to be willing to consider all things, even things we don't necessarily want to consider. And we have to consider, again, I mean, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like we're being trolled by all of these releases, you know, or they're like, kind of like we were mentioning earlier, they got to just get this stuff out there so that it normalizes it.
Well, and
then by the
time
everyone accepts it, it'll be like, yeah, duh, of course.
And
of course there's a bunch of pedophiles. And of course there's all this shit, you know?
Like duh.
But leaving this stuff out there, like, 'cause I've heard about in some of the other releases that there are ways that you could do these, like these tech savvy people were finding ways to figure out who the names were in the redactions.
Yeah,
do you remember?
Of course, absolutely.
Right? So I'm just saying, it feels like, because I do feel that even the people I dislike the most, you know, whatever, like the Netanyahus, the Trumps, the Clintons and Obamas, like that ultimately these people are being held hostage. And they're all being held hostage, and everyone, like what you were mentioning earlier, that that everyone's in it and everyone, so it's like, who are you going to trust? Maybe you pass these truths on to your firstborn son or whoever you think you can really trust. But sometimes maybe the only people you can really trust are the people that, like, they did the shit with you.
Yep.
You know, and so now you can trust them because they're all in it.
They were there. I saw you at the party too.
Yeah. You know, so I wonder, you know, I have to at least be wondering if some of this shit, right, they can't just come right out and let's just assume, make the bull case for someone like Trump, that Trump is like, look, these people own my ass. There's only so much I can do about it. You know, I got to do what they say. Otherwise, you know, there's option A, B, and C that they give me for every option.
Right.
And I do everything I can. I say everything that they want me to say. I'm going to attack Iran. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, you know, and you say that shit because that's what you need to say.
Also, let's leave Bill Clinton alone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and meanwhile, leaving the shit out there so that in hope, like, hey guys, no one better look into this, you know, but it's like wink, wink, nod, nod. It's like, guys, crack this fucking code because I'm not allowed to do it, but I put enough out there that I'm hoping eventually some of you will do it. And then, you know, and then the shit will be out. Cause it's like, I gotta be wondering, like, why is this stuff about like Epstein, I was saying, he said to Peter Thiel, like, I work for the Rothys. Like, why are they putting that in there? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I
like,
mean, I'm still banking on, personally, we're still dealing with boomer Illuminati, you know? To me, it's just because it's like the Professor Jang thing. It's like, it explains everything that happened and makes predictions about the future that keep coming true.
Yeah.
Like, these fucking Moloch Baal baby eaters do not know the fucking first thing about metadata.
Yeah.
How the internet works or whatever. And they've lived their whole life. Their dynasty has been this idea that they're above the law anyway. So I doubt they're even thinking in their mind, oh, we need to like hide this. We need to like encrypt this. We need to whatever. It's like, I know, like, you know, but now it reaches a point where next generation of people who want to be in control as those techno babies. And it's like, that's what they can do. Right? It's like and maybe that was part of the right, because then in that Whitney Webb thing, she's talking about how the Maxwell people were right at the beginning of the Microsoft and all the software and building backdoors into the software that then you're selling to defense departments and stuff like that. Those guys, that group, whoever that is, group, they're like, yeah, we are going to leverage technology like never fucking before. This is going to be our like calling card, is using this technology shit to try and gather, blackmail, get information, run shit from the background, right? Because I mean, like that, because that might actually be even, I don't know, I need to think about this more. That might actually be even more, if you can get the information. Okay, so you need information. So one way that for a long time, how people did that is you run a honeypot. You get some blackmail on somebody, and now they're a part of your like network. You can ask them to do stuff. They're going to tell you, blah, 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 blah. You get information that way. It might even be better. It might even be easier just to goddamn hack their motherfucking computer, right? Fuck all the honeypot shit, blah, blah, blah. We hacked your computer. We know everything you've been saying, every email, every phone call, every online pornography purchase, whatever. We've got it all. You know, it's a honeypot, a different form of a honeypot. It's a technological honeypot. We caught you online. We caught what you're doing online, you know? And that would make sense if Epstein was technologically adept at all, that
Mhm.
could be a reason he's doing the email stuff out. If he felt like he was above the law, which it seemed like he was, then yeah, you just send people shit on your Gmail and your Yahoo account, and you get them to say weird shit. And it's like, yeah, bro, like, you see what I mean? Like, you get this sultan to tell you random shit over on a goddamn Yahoo
Right.
email. You know, it's like,
Right.
I'm above the law, but as I'm doing this, I'm getting people to tell me.
Incriminate
I'm
themselves.
getting pieces of evidence. And it's, again, it's kind of like, that guy knows he sent that torture vid. It's like, and he knows I've received it. It's like we have like a agreement now. It's like a tacit agreement. You don't have to run. You can run an online honeypot. I guess that's all I'm really realizing. I guess it's not even that big. It's just different. You can, because you want people's information. You're trying to catch. You're just trying to find out what people are doing, and then like we said, they're going to have a desire which underlies their shame, guilt, or insecurity. And once you found out their desire, you know that they're beholden to that shame or guilt or insecurity. And now you can use that to your advantage. And so if the way I need to find that out is by hacking your email, fine. If the way I'm going to find that out is by running a real life honeypot, then fine. You know, whatever the method, who cares? But if you're technologically adept enough, you can just use that. You can just use technology to do it.
Right.
Right. Those people that hack companies and then say, look, if you pay me $100,000, I will release your files and your business can keep working. You know, it works. That shit works. It happens all the time. I mean, there's like whole companies that are just trying to scam people, you know, like actual hackers and stuff. I don't know if you ever watch any of that on YouTube, but there's whole like towns in India and Pakistan and shit like that, where it's just all these call centers that are scam-based hacking call centers that mostly are targeting older people in the United States, and they scam them out of so much money by using these really simple little hacking tricks and stuff like that, you know?
Which isn't that what happened to Podesta with the whole some phishing scam, John Podesta, that he fell for? And then they claimed it was Russia. It was like, no, dude, you just you fell for some shit because you're boomer Illuminati.
Exactly. It's boomer Illuminati. You don't get it. You don't get that Apple isn't going to fucking call you from Jalamabad asking for your social security number, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's Apple. Well, I got to tell them.
Right. It says it's Apple.
You know?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I got to go.
All right, man.
Awesome talking with you. I'm gonna stop recording and then I can't post it right now, but later on when I get home, I'll be able to.
Awesome.